Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Well, the Lifetime movie is coming out tomorrow on the 1st of October, and there is, I'm sure you guys are aware, there's quite a lot of people who are upset saying that it is too soon. Now, besides that commentary, besides those feelings, I'm definitely curious to see some of the images, and I put 22 images in this video, and we're just going to talk a little bit about what is in them and what that may reveal that we may not have thought about before. Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started. So I am going to do a follow-up video where I'm going to talk about the number one clue that we've all missed in terms of the Gabby Petito case. And I think that clue comes to us in one of these 22 photos. It's something that we've kind of thought about, but not really been very explicit about it. So see if you can kind of follow what we're talking about. So let's go through these images. Here is one of the actress playing Gabby. I think her name is Skylar Samuels. And there she is sitting inside the van. And we know that one of the problems that she felt, Gabby, was that Brian wasn't very clean. And you can imagine how quick and easy it was to turn the inside of the van into a sort of a grubby environment. Then we go into the next image, which shows the Moab stop. I personally don't really like the setting. It's far too green. It just doesn't really look like that original setting. Also, the actress, I think she would have looked closer to Gabby if she was tanned. Gabby was already quite tanned at this stage. Bear in mind, she'd been on the van life journey already for about 2 months. But optics aside, do they capture the tension? Do they capture and in a weird way, I think this whole scene is totally... it's really just duplicating reality because we've already got the body cam. So one wonders what they're really going to show there that we didn't already know. Suppose one thing that they could highlight is the fact that Brian also had a phone and that he lied about the phone. Suppose another thing they could highlight was the third witness, Chandler, who did actually see Brian hit Gabby. Are they going to bring that up? So one detail that I guess missed in the sort of original footage of Gabby and Brian was what appears to be a map that is sort of hanging behind them, a sort of a material map. I'm not sure if that is true to life, but if it is, that's something that I certainly didn't see. Did you? Then we come to another image of the actress sitting in the tent, and a lot of that looks true to life, but can you see what is in that tent to the right-hand side? The laptop. And although we may not be totally aware of that, you can kind of imagine that inside that tent, besides sleeping, besides eating, probably you would have a situation where Gabby would be trying to work, trying to get the social media going. And how did Brian feel about that? Right? That would be at very close quarters. Now, compare that to a home situation where you can get relative privacy in your own room or something, but in a situation like a tent, someone is right there looking at what you're saying on social media. It's hard to avoid that. And then also, aren't they going to be looking at the comments? Then the next scene seems to show Gabby working on, I guess, her blog. This could be at the co-op. Again, the setting is a little bit too green and doesn't really make one think of the Moonflower co-op, but there it is. Then there's that scene that is, I think, the very last photo of Gabby Petito. The butterflies are right, the outfit's right, what she's holding in her hand is broadly right as well, but just isn't quite, it's not quite the same thing, is it? There we can see Gabby wearing the same outfit that she wore during the Moab incident. And this is an image that I think captures an element of what I'm kind of getting at. Can you see that Brian's holding a phone in his hand, the actress playing Gabby's holding a phone in her hand. They don't seem very pleased with one another. And you can kind of imagine in this situation that Brian has just seen something on his phone. He's also noticing that Gabby's Instagram's doing a lot better than hers. And I can tell you as a YouTube creator, when you see someone whose account is younger than yours or whatever, and you just see that they're getting a lot more attention than you are, does it make you feel good? How do you think it makes you feel? How do you think it made Brian feel? And it takes a certain amount of maturity to take something like that, which is invalidating, is kind of an insult. It takes a certain amount of maturity to take that in your stride. I think it also takes a certain amount of maturity if you're in a relationship with someone to take that in your stride. And then the question is, did Brian? And so here's another image of the laptop. And obviously the laptop also comes up in the Kylie Rodney case. Have a look at that laptop. It's also got stickers on it. Was that actually a source of stress? Not so much what is going on the phone, but editing photos and the time spent on that. And then what do you think about the actress and actor? Well, I guess it's actors playing the various roles of both of these figureheads in true crime. I don't really have a problem with the actors. I just really have a problem with the idea of someone who's a lot older than Gabby and actually Brian as well, because an actor then's got to pretend act those insecurities, those vulnerabilities, those naiveties, and I think you wouldn't need that if you had a younger actors anyway in the first place. Does that make sense? I think a big part of what happened here was two young people who were unused to being in relationships. And young people, that maturity is inherent in young people. Then there's also clearly a scene that takes place in the Mary Piglet's restaurant. Once again, you sort of feel, couldn't they have done a little bit more, paid a bit more attention to the details? And I think one's got to accept that that's not going to be the case, that the optics aren't going to be 100% accurate. And then one must look at the dynamics and say, do those dynamics resonate? Do those dynamics make sense? Is the emotional reality something that resonates, something that feels real? Not the optics. Forget about that. Is the emotional reality that this movie is angling at, does it touch on that? Does it touch a couple of touchstones? And does it miss a couple of touchstones? And although I think one's own relationships are a clue to, and the things you argue about in your own relationship are a clue to what other couples argue about, it's not enough to say this is exactly what was going on with them. And that's why one's got to really get to know them. And so the question is, did Lifetime get to know these characters? What do you think? And so in terms of the pushback, the kind of backlash about making this movie sort of too soon, what do you think about that? And are you going to watch the Lifetime movie? Let me know in the comments. So I'm going to do a follow-up to this episode dealing with that number one clue that I feel we've all missed. So watch this space for that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.